Hello, and welcome to the Abington Public Library. I'm Library Director Deborah Grimmett, and I'd like to take this opportunity to chat with you a little bit about Abington Reads 2017. The Board of Library Trustees, the library staff, the Friends of the Library, and I would like to invite you to join the conversation this March as we discuss Lost in Shangri-La by Mitchell Zukoff. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about community reading events. What is it and why are we doing it? Community reading events started in the late 1990s. Libraries and other community organizations interested in promoting literacy thought that it would be fun to see what would happen in a community if everybody read the same book. Well, what happens is people have a chance to read it and communicate with their neighbors about the book. It's a shared reading experience. Why do we want to share a reading experience? Because it allows us to find out what others think about topics and issues. It lets us meet neighbors that we might not have met before, allows us to participate in programs and events, and let's face it, it's just fun. There's not a whole lot that you can do outside in your garden in March, so why not come to the library and enjoy a book, a program, a discussion? Our Community Reads program began in 2013. We've received a Library Services and Technology Act grant to fund our first community read events, and we had almost 400 participants. The book we discussed in 2013 was called Dark Tide, about the 1919 Boston molasses flood, and our very first author was Stephen Puleo. I'm happy to say that Mr. Puleo will be returning to the library, although not until January of 2018. Following Dark Tide, we decided that we might want to talk about a fiction book. So for our second Abington Reads event, we discussed a best-selling legal thriller, Defending Jacob, written by William Landay. William Landay was a huge hit with the audience the night that he came to talk about his book. For the third event, we went back to nonfiction, and we invited Michael Togas to come and talk about his book, The Finest Hours. That name might be familiar to you. The Finest Hours, after our event, was made into a movie, and it was filmed at the former Air Base. Many of you may have seen it. It's about a Coast Guard rescue off the coast of Cape Cod in the early 1950s. Last year, we invited author B.A. Shapiro to come and talk about her novel, The Art Forger. The Art Forger is set in Boston, and it discusses ethics and art theft. B.A. Shapiro was an engaging speaker, and we enjoyed hosting her. This year's program deals with the greatest generation. It's a nonfiction thriller set in the waning days of World War II. The book is called Lost in Shangri-La, set in Papua New Guinea, and it's by Mitchell Zukoff, who will be visiting the library on Monday, March 27th. So, what happens when you participate in a Community Reads program? The first thing that needs to happen is you need to read the book. You can read the book in print, you can read the book electronically, on an e-reader or a tablet. You can listen to the book on an audio. We have all three formats, and we're happy to provide you with them so that you can join the fun. After you've read the book, you might want to come to a book discussion. We'll be having one of those at the end of March, on March 23rd, and talk about the book with your friends and neighbors. You can also talk about the book informally amongst yourselves. That's always fun. In fact, from our first Community Reads event, we had somebody who actually met a friend, someone they had never known before, at a book discussion here in the library, and they've been friends ever since. So there's all kinds of possible outcomes from participating in a Community Reads event. After you've read the book and participated in a discussion, you might want to come to a program. We have several offered, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. The finale of our Abington Reads event is an author visit. For us, this is an all-day event. All 5 of our Abington Reads programs have included students at Abington High School. Our selected author will visit the high school in the afternoon, usually during last period at the high school, and talk to a group of about 100 students about the book, about the historical events in the book, and also about the process of writing. Students particularly find that interesting, and every year there is a group of kids who want to talk to the author at the end of the program. After that, the author has a little bit of a break, has dinner, and then is here in the public library at 7 p.m. to talk to a crowd about the book, about his process for writing the book, and then to answer questions and autograph copies of the book if people wish to purchase them. Community Reads events are great. They encourage respectful dialogue among members of the community. They encourage people to get out, to have a chance to read a book that they might not have read. We alternate between fiction and nonfiction, which makes nonfiction readers read a novel every other year and makes fiction readers read a nonfiction book every other year. Other things that happen is a community reading experience. It encourages understanding of others in the community. And lastly, as the public library, we like to promote literacy. It's a great chance to read a book and talk about it. Take some time away from screens, if you're reading the book via print, and take a chance to read a book and really think about it. So we hope that everybody will come and participate in Abington Reads 2017. The most important part of a community reads program is obviously the book. For 2017, we've chosen Lost in Shangri-La by Mitchell Zuckoff. Lost in Shangri-La was published in 2011, and it's an award-winning bestseller. This is a greatest generation tale, a true story of a plane crash and subsequent rescue in Papua New Guinea in 1945. In May of 1945, as the war dragged on in the Pacific Theater, a group of servicemen and WACs, women from the Women's Army Corps, went on a sightseeing journey to find the lost tribe in Shangri-La. This was a group of people who had had no contact with the outside world. The sightseeing tour unfortunately resulted in a plane crash, loss of many lives. However, there were 3 survivors. The book tells the tale of survival and also of the rescue of the 3 people who survived. Much of the story is told from the viewpoint of Corporal Margaret Hastings, a member of the WACs, and of her 2 companions in the rescue. The book includes possible cannibals. It includes a glider plane, which was used in the rescue, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. And it includes a journalist who, believe it or not, was an actor turned jewel thief turned journalist who parachuted into Shangri-La to record the rescue. The book was written by Mitchell Zuckoff. Mitchell Zuckoff is a professor of journalism at Boston University. He's from New York, and he worked as a reporter for almost 20 years, primarily at the Boston Globe. He's an investigative reporter and a roving national correspondent. Lost in Shangri-La is not his only book. He wrote a very famous book called 13 Hours, which recounts the events of September 11th, 2012, and the attack on the State Department Special Missions Compound and a nearby CIA station in Benghazi, Libya. In addition to 13 Hours, his most recent book is called Frozen in Time. It's also set during World War II, and coincidentally is also about a plane crash, actually 3 plane crashes, in Greenland, and a modern attempt to recover the victims from those crashes. The first book of Mitchell Zuckoff's, which I personally read, was called Ponzi's Scheme, and it's a biography of Charles Ponzi and the crazy investment scheme he created, which built many Bostonians out of their money in the summer of 1920. Sounds like it might not be the most interesting book, but in the hands of Mitchell Zuckoff, it was fascinating. Ponzi's name has become synonymous with investment wrongdoings. Think about Bernie Madoff. So Ponzi's Scheme and 13 Hours and Frozen in Time, as well as Mr. Zuckoff's other books, are available here at the library. So if you want to extend your Abington Reads experience beyond Lost in Shangri-La, you're welcome to choose one of Mr. Zuckoff's other books and read it as well. They're interesting. He writes fascinating nonfiction. And for people who are not truly nonfiction readers, it has been said that his works read like fiction. So I hope you'll come and check out a book. Welcome to the Copeland Room. This is the space in the library where we have events and programs, and we have many programs associated with Abington Reads 2017. We'll be starting with the Delvana Theater on Wednesday, March 8th. The Delvana Theater Group will present a 3-person play about the life of Eleanor Roosevelt. The play is called Truly Eleanor. Delvana Theater was last here in January of 2016, and they presented a play about the life of Julia Child. This was a funny evening and played to a capacity audience. Following the Delvana Theater, we'll welcome Steve Rudolph's Swing Fever Trio on Saturday, March 11th at 2 p.m. Steve Rudolph is a magician and a musician. He's a longtime music teacher and works with 2 associates to create wonderful swing music of the World War II era. We're looking forward to hosting Steve and hope that we'll get a large turnout for this Saturday afternoon event. We're also looking forward to the return of Dr. Gary Highlander on Thursday, March 16th at 7 p.m. Dr. Highlander is a local historian, and he'll be speaking about the Doolittle Raid, which occurred in May of 1942. The purpose of the Doolittle Raid was to raise morale in the United States on the home front after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. The Doolittle Raid was the first successful United States air raid on the Japanese home islands. General Doolittle, who wasn't a general at the time of the raid, thought that he was going to be court-martialed after the raid and instead became a hero whose face was plastered all over theaters across the United States in newsreels in the early days of World War II. Dr. Highlander is a historian who makes history come alive. He has a large following, and we hope that you'll join us for this wonderful lecture. We're looking forward to hosting a book discussion about Lost in Shangri-La, our Abington Reads title, on Thursday, March 23rd at 7 p.m. This book discussion will be a great opportunity to talk with your friends and neighbors about the book before the author's visit the following week. We're looking forward to hearing people's opinions and insights on the historical events of the book and the author's writing style. If you've never participated in a book discussion group, they're fun and they're not necessarily quiet events. We have a regular nonfiction book discussion group here at the library that meets monthly, and we're frequently shushed by other library patrons because we get too loud. After the book discussion, there'll be a great chance to meet the author on Monday, March 27th. Mitchell Zukoff, author of Lost in Shangri-La, will be speaking here at the library at 7 p.m. We're looking forward to hearing what he has to say about the historical events in his best-selling work, and we're also looking forward to hearing him talk about writing in general. At the conclusion of Mitchell's talk, there will be an opportunity for snacks, courtesy of the Friends of the Library, and also an opportunity for you to purchase a book and have Mitchell autograph it for you. This should be an exciting event and will conclude Abington Reads for this year, and we'll see what we choose for 2018. For more information about Abington Reads programs or about the library in general, please visit the library website at www.abingtonpl.org. You can also call the library with questions at 781-982-2139 or email us at ablib@ocln.org. Looking forward to seeing you at an Abington Reads event, and remember, if you need to borrow a copy of the book, you can borrow one from the library, a print copy, or you can check out an electronic copy from our electronic source site. Thank you.